Joining us now, live and exclusive on India Today at this moment, minutes after the Prime Minister's crucial address to the nation, is a man who's been deeply involved with the formulation of the government's economic stimulus package, Principal Economic Advisor Sanjeev Sanyal. Mr. Sanyal, welcome. We've heard a lot of what the Prime Minister had to say. I'm hoping to extract more from you. I realize there are limitations to what you can and cannot say. But can you begin by explaining to us what you believe will be the contours of this 20 lakh crore rupee financial package?
Well, obviously, I can't speak about the details of what they are. That's the finance minister's prerogative, and you will get it in the next day or two. So it's you just have to wait a little bit. But let me say that this package, this speech that you just heard, will be remembered for decades in the way that the 1991 speech of Manmohan Singh was remembered. Because this is not just about a stimulus package for this particular moment. This is a rebooting of the Indian economy in a very fundamental way. So I think you need just give me a minute or two to explain what I mean. You see, the speech talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat, of self-reliant and resilient India. Now, there is a danger here, of course, that some people will interpret this as a return to, autarkic self-import substitution or license permit Raj. This is totally not the intention. The idea here, very clearly articulated by the Prime Minister, is we want to insert ourselves into global supply chains. We want to leverage our strengths, which are domestic demand, our talents, build out world-class infrastructure, and we are willing to look at whatever it has to be rethought, fundamentally rewired in order to do this.
But what changes? A lot of this could have been said in year 1, 2, 3, 4. Make in India, your big manufacturing push was a lot of the same ideas. What changes in substance, Mr. Sanyal?
So I'll just give you a few examples, some of which is already on the way. We have talked for years about labor reforms. Labor reforms are being discussed when I was in university 25 odd years ago. So you already began to see the states beginning to push them out. You are beginning to see serious reforms in the APMC, something that people never thought would happen at the state level. At the national level, we've already seen in just a few months ago corporate tax rates reduced to very, very competitive levels. We are willing to go back and look at the fundamentals of the system and rewire them. That's the point that the Prime Minister wanted to make.
So you're telling me, Sanjeev Sanyal, that labor and land reforms are potentially what 1991 meant to industrial and trade licensing, with the delicensing that took place then. You're telling me that 2020 could be the year when labor land reforms take place and, dare I say, administrative reforms, because the Prime Minister spoke of a change in systems. Am I to believe that that will happen over the next 1 year? Is this going to be over phases that we expect this to happen?
So there are two elements to what was announced today. One is obviously the financial package, which, as I said, will be announced in the next few days. So I'll leave you to judge how that works. But as I said, this is about, you're right, about rethinking the system. So yes, administrative reforms too. And you already are seeing in many states fundamental questioning of things we thought nobody would ever go back and relook at.
But you tried land reform. When you just came in, you pushed the Land Acquisition Bill Act, and then there was a big backlash. We've already seen the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, affiliated to the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, oppose labor reform. The Congress is jumping in as well. You can imagine there's already a huge amount of economic distress. Labor employees badly off. They'll accuse your government of being pro-capitalist. The suit boot ki sarkar jive will be flung at you again. You lost your will and your nerve last time. How do we know this time will be different, sir?
Well, I can't react to political rhetoric. As you know, I'm a technocrat, so I'll leave you to judge on that. As far as the policy intentions are concerned, let me assure you, the intentions are absolutely clear. I don't think the Prime Minister could have been any more clear about what the path is. And in addition, he also said something quite interesting, that the underlying economic model is a decentralized one. So again, fundamentally different from thinking of Atmanirbharta in sort of commanding heights of the economy way. It's a decentralized model, thinking about resilience. So this is a very different way of thinking about our economic structure.
Sanjeev, these are all very fine words. The problem is the practice. We've seen in recent budgets an increase in protectionism. We've not seen in recent times any dilution in government, in actual government. We've not seen as if ministries have actually been cut to size. We haven't really seen the kind of disinvestment push that we were promised. So the worry is that while the intent seems clear, the implementation is where the problem is.
So that is for you to judge. I can't comment on that. About what will happen going forward. Obviously, our
I'm only going by recent experiences. Recent budgets have seen an increase in protectionism at times. You've gone back to almost import substitution, to use the word that you did.
That is totally not the case. So let me show you how this is fundamentally different. First of all, we are very much going to welcome FDI. I think many of the reforms being done are clearly done with the intention of attracting away global supply chains to ourselves. Secondly, as the point is, there may be areas where we may protect. For example, if we think, for example, that our pharmaceutical industry is globally competitive. Now, we have to think about the resilience of its supply chains, in that we do not want, again, to be in a situation where crucial API inputs are, suddenly dry up because they are based on another country. So it is the case that we will take into account the resilience of our supply chains, and there are certain parts of our economy we will need to protect, not because we are being import substitution, protectionist and so on, but because this is what is practical in order to ensure resilience.
Can you give us some ideas on how these 20 lakh crore rupees are going to be funded? Now the RBI has already announced a 4.5 lakh crore liquidity influx. Does this include this? Is this 20 lakh crore rupees afresh? Will we be printing new notes? Will we be borrowing? Where will we be borrowing from? What will be the form, and what impact may it have on inflation?
Well, the details of the package I am obviously not in a position to discuss. That you will know from the finance minister herself.
Sorry to intervene, is it a phase-wise package, Mr. Sanyal, or is it one go 20 lakh crore big bang?
As I said, do not want to discuss it, but it will probably be in phases. But I think there was a secondary question in there for what Rahul asked about financing of this. So let me get into that, because that is perhaps interesting. I think there is an issue, of course, that we will borrow significantly more. On Friday, if you remember, a somewhat enhanced borrowing program was also announced. There is also, as we've discussed, a lot of discussion about monetization. In India, unfortunately, this term seems to bring back memories of past eras where, a lot of printing of notes was done, without caring about inflation. Let me say that monetization, responsibly done in an environment with very weak demand, is entirely feasible. So that is something that should be considered if done responsibly.
What's your sense of what the definition of responsibly is? How much headroom is there for fresh notes to be printed?
So one important issue here is going to be how inflation behaves in this. So clearly you do not want to be printing such that you stoke back inflation. You also want to keep the yield curve well behaved. So obviously you need to watch both of these and do it with being aware of the feedback loops. But as I said, I'm not in a position.
But international rating agencies, and you've seen them and you worked with big banks abroad, are already threatening of a possible downgrade of India's ratings, and that could bring us down to junk status.
No, I don't think that is based on some fear of mass scale monetization. Monetization, incidentally, happens even on a routine basis. After all, how does reserve money grow? And what do you think open market operation is? So a lot of it happens routinely, and any responsible economist will tell you that monetization done in a calibrated way is a routine thing. But the point is to maintain control over it and not to do it in an environment where demand is causing inflation.
Now, Sanjeev Sanyal, the concern, of course, is all of this is coming at a time where the fight against corona is still not over. The fact is that economic activity has come to a standstill for the last 7 weeks. There is no guarantee that until we win that battle, you will be able to revive the economy. This is a global crisis in that sense, the dilemma between lives and livelihoods. Therefore, do you believe that any stimulus package is dependent first on winning that war against Corona? That's the first challenge that you have, to actually ensure, for example, public transport gets back to near normal, that you are able to open up your big commercial cities like Mumbai, like Delhi, and then you can actually push ahead with a revival of the economic activity.
So you're absolutely right that the health battle is not yet won. And one of the reasons we hadn't gone out like many other countries and announced big bang packages right in the beginning is we recognize that this is not a sprint, it is a long distance run. And so we did, if you remember, act on the economy, on the health aspect well before the economy. So we locked it down, we took time to spread the testing, get some idea where the real problems are, lock down hotspots and so on and so forth. So that bit was done. And by the way, when we unwind it, it will be also done in phases and with a feedback step-by-step way.
I want to welcome at this time Mr. Nitin Gadkari. He is joining us. Sanjeev, stay with me. I have one more question. Nitin ji, एक second रुकिए please. एक question Sanjeev Sanyal से और पूछ के मैं भी आपसे start करता हूँ. Sanjeev Sanyal, there will be many who will watch this broadcast and say, with the kind of packages that are being announced, the previous budget now is irrelevant. Therefore, we need a new expenditure budget. The government should come up front. How will this money be generated? Where will it be spent? Is there a case for a new budget? And also, you didn't answer my question. The 4.5 lakh crore rupee liquidity influx that the RBI has already announced, does this 20 lakh crore rupee include that, or is this fresh 20 lakh crore rupee infusion?
As I said, the details of the package will be given to you just in a day or so. So just bear with me. I do not want to get into details about how this will be calculated. Now, the issue that I wanted to finish from the previous question is, we will be now opening it up, but it will be done in a calibrated way. However, it was necessary to begin to also lay out the economic map ahead so that businesses, individuals, workers, etc., have a sense of where we are going. There was, as you know, a lot of anxiety building up about this issue. So it was important that while we are unwinding this, we also signal the winding up of the economy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanyal. Now,